jersey. He's going down. And that's not going to change no matter how much experience the kid gets in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree.
The other thing I wanted to mention to you was about the Bengals. To me, the game, the fact that both road teams in that series, won kind of blowout games.
Yeah.
It really just shows, more so than the Browns. I think it shows what people have said about the Bengals all year long, what a Jekyll and Hyde outfit this is. That they can look so bad and so good, and you never know which team is going to show up. Until the playoffs, and then you know which team is going to show up. At least based on their past few years. But to me, that they have the better team. And the other thing that was obvious to me yesterday, Jerry, was that the Bengals' offense is so much more sophisticated, advanced, inventive, imaginative, varied, unpredictable than the Browns' offense. It's ridiculous. To me, I really got a feeling yesterday that Shanahan's offense is, I was calling plays. When they go line up four receivers on one side and Josh Gordon on the left. That's where they're going. They line up four guys on the right hand side. They're throwing to the other side of the field to Josh Gordon one-on-one. If I can call it sitting in my seat in the stands after watching this team all season, clearly the Bengals are on top of it, and they didn't even allow Manziel to get the pass off to Gordon on that play.
And and I've talked about that.
I'm just impressed by how good the Bengals offense looked and unpredictable and showed a lot of different things, and their running game is better than ours too.
You brought up something I wanted to talk about. Great segue there. You're listening to the Sports Fix, J-Rock and Dan Wismar. We are talking about the Browns and the Bengals and Johnny's debut and all of that stuff. But, looking at exactly what you just said there too. Wow,
talk about the Bengals and they're up and down.
Well, absolutely, but even with the Browns offense and the play calling, I wanted to get into Shanahan a little bit, and because that's been one of the things that the majority of people who, once you get past the Johnny and all of that stuff, that's the next place that a lot of people go. Now, you and I have talked all season at various times about, even if it's just as simple as run on first, run on second, pass on third. Like, it was always, as you said, predictable. Now, there were times, I'm not going to say that there wasn't times that I thought Shanahan called a good game. There were sequences and series that I said, man, especially some of them good long drives that they were putting together with Hoyer where they were mixing the play action and then hitting the passes and all of that stuff. There are times that as it got continued on, it just became so predictable. They run the same 2 or 3 running plays. You've got the toss. Is it going to go outside or are they going to cut it back inside? You know what I mean? It seems like, Kyle Shanahan, what are your thoughts? I mean, because there's times that you go, okay, man, he can call a good game, but then there's times that you go, no, he can't. Do you think there's a possibility of Shanahan being a one and done offensive coordinator here, man?
Well, I don't know. Of course, the conversation after the game was even broader than that. You don't think that that Pettine's job is in jeopardy, do you?
See, I wouldn't. But again, I also wouldn't have necessarily fired Judd either last season because I don't do one season coaching changes. You know what I mean? Like that's not good for anybody.
But we all know at this point about Jimmy Haslam.
But here's the thing:
his pursuit of whatever he's in pursuit of.
Well, absolutely. But here's the thing: the Manziel thing to me, and we got to see how it plays itself out. But that becomes an intriguing way of judging this because if Manziel is, as we've talked about here, what we think he is, which is what you saw yesterday, then no way, because he was the lone voice of reason that stood there when everybody was going, look at dumb old Mike Pettine over there. He refuses to take the Lamborghini off the bench. He's so loyal to Brian Hoyer. But if he stuck to his guns because he knew what the end result of this is going to end up being, then he's absolutely right. And he should not only not lose his job, but he should be commended because many coaches fold under that kind of exterior pressure from the front office, from the fan base, from the media, and all of that. Now, if it's the other way around, hey, maybe we find out that these guys are holding Johnny back. Maybe some new offensive coordinator will come in, and maybe they can hire the guy from Texas A&M, and Johnny will come in and wreck the league, and then it's all Pettine's fault. I don't see that happen. And so if Johnny Manziel is as rudimentary of a quarterback as we think he is, then not only should Mike Pettine's job not be in jeopardy, but he should be commended for avoiding the circus as long as he could.
Right. Well, one of the things that, and getting back to your question about Shanahan and the offense, a couple things that I noticed yesterday were different, and I guess you might say unpredictable in that they were just different from this team's tendencies all year. First of all, I don't remember pitch sweeps yesterday. They didn't have Johnny pitching the ball to the running backs. He was handing it off.
You think he has trouble with the pitch?
I could be wrong about that, but I don't recall pitch sweeps yesterday. It was almost all long handoffs. The other thing was 3rd and 1 all year long, and you've watched this team as well as I have. 3rd and 1, this team under Shanahan has been throwing the ball on 3rd and 1. Almost like they didn't trust themselves to pick up a yard on the ground on 3rd and 1. That of course, has a long history with the new Cleveland Browns not being able to pick up a 3rd and 1 on the ground. But Shanahan's tendency all year long has been to throw the ball on 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 2. Yesterday, clearly he didn't have enough trust in Manziel to pick up a 3rd and 1 throwing the ball, and they ran it. The one time they did run it, they got stuffed, and they ended up picking it up on 4th and 1, as I recall.
Let me jump in with what you're saying, because
those two things seem to be breaking tendencies to me. The lack of the pitch sweep. Maybe they didn't trust him to pitch it accurately, or to maybe get hit before he pitched it, or that it might cause fumbles. But that was noticeable to me, and then, of course, a decision to run the ball on 3rd and 1 when that was totally different from everything they've done all year.
I'm not positive, but there may have been a botched toss sweep during the preseason with him, maybe, but I don't know. But there may be issues with the toss. But you know what? Going on, I wanted to jump in talking about what you said about the downs, and especially 3rd down. And there, we got the breakdown of Manziel there. 1st downs, he was 6 of 7 on passing on 1st down. 2nd down and 3rd down, only 4 of 11, 2 interceptions, and should have been the other one too as well. And this is interesting for everybody that talked about the different quarterbacks' strengths and weaknesses and arm strength. Manziel 0 of 4 with 2 picks when passing for more than 15 yards downfield. It is the only time this season that the Browns have not had at least one 15-plus yard completion this season. So, again, that also shows you as well. He left the pocket on 10 of his 24 attempts. He was 2 of 7 with an interception when he went out of the pocket for the season. He's 3 of 11 when he leaves the pocket, and 5 of his 8 incompletions were broken up or touched by Bengals defenders as well, on top of the couple that were actually intercepted there. So, but, seeing the lack of success, and some of that is perhaps from the play calling there, but you can see he was more successful when they designed those shorter 1st down passes. But those are just trying to get your guy in rhythm going and whatnot. And
there were a couple of times, Jerry, where he did come out of the pocket, and it looked like there one time I think he had a 3rd and 14 or 3rd and 13 or something, and it looked like he could have easily run for the 1st down. And there was a time when he hit Hawkins with it, and Hawkins got the ball knocked out by the defender relatively early in the game. But I thought to myself, he breaks out of the pocket, and he's got 15, 20 yards of wide open green grass in front of him, and he chose to throw it rather than run it. And I thought, well, maybe he's under some kind of instruction to limit the running and throw it wherever possible, as opposed to and of course the criticism of him in advance of the game was that young quarterbacks, especially scrambling quarterbacks, tend to bolt from the pocket too early and give up on throwing the ball too soon instead of too late. And unfortunately, Johnny tried to break that cardinal sin of NFL football to throw late over the middle. Tried it a couple times. Both times he got picked off, and hopefully those are lessons learned that won't be repeated. But it sure did look to me a couple of times like he could have run for a 1st down where he chose instead to throw it and ended up with a bad result.
Makes you wonder. I wonder if they, if he was kind of under the leash there, not to do that. See, Pettine was asked about that last week, and so was Shanahan, and they said, well, you don't want to take away, what the guy does as well either. So I don't know, but who knows? But, I mean, maybe he was playing. I mean, it's not like Hoyer didn't spend the season playing with a shadow over his neck as well. Maybe Manziel was worried about making a mistake. I don't know. No matter what you say, the other side's going to say you're making excuses for somebody anyway. So it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're right. It is what it is. And going back to some, man, I hate listing some of these names. Some of the names that are equated with this game yesterday. You know, worst Heisman Trophy debut since Danny Werfel. Do you remember him coming out of Florida back in '97? Oh, sure. He had a debacle of a start, but last period NFL quarterback to have this performance and be shut out in his first career start in the last 20 years. Rusty Smith. Of the Rusty Smith, you know. So
do not remember Rusty Smith.
Never good when those are the names that you're hanging out with. In Browns history, it's literally only Spurgeon Wynn and Brandon Weeden. By the way, this just speaks to that jersey with all the quarterback names on it. The Browns sent out. And I love my friends in the PR departments, and I know your job is to make things sound as good as possible. But I laugh at how they tweak stats. Like the Browns finished, 500 at home. They won 4 and they lost 4 at home this year. They've had, of course, the 7-1 season in 2007, and then they've had 4-win seasons at home, 2001, 2005, 2012, and this year. So that's 5 seasons of 500 or better at home. But instead of saying, hey, the Browns had one of their only, that's a good sounding stat, one of only 500 or better seasons at home. Instead, they send you a line that says, Cleveland finished with the second most home wins in a season since 1999. Well, I mean, we're playing semantics with the words. But anyway, I always get a kick out of how they tweak those. But they sent me the list of every quarterback from Ty Detmer on September 12th, 1999, all the way on down to Johnny yesterday. And all the ratings, all the stats and everything. Do you know, you guys probably know this, of all of the quarterbacks, only 2 won their first game as the Browns quarterback, and that was Jeff Garcia and Brian Hoyer. They're the only 2 out of that entire list who won their first game as the quarterback of the Browns. And Johnny's rating, the only ones that, like I said, the only ones in that area, Brandon Weeden, Bruce Gradkowski, Ty Detmer, and Spurgeon Wynn. And actually, Spurgeon Wynn's was better. He actually ended up with a 40 rating. But, yeah, man, it's just, you look at this list, it gets longer and longer. You look at all these stats. You look at how bad each of these quarterbacks lost their first game. Like, think of this. This is what it feels like. Spurgeon Wynn. End of the season against Jacksonville, loses 48-0. Doug Peterson at Pittsburgh loses 22-0. Some of these Bruce Gradkowski at Pittsburgh, that was on my birthday a couple years ago, blown out 31-0. I remember watching that one, and that's kind of what this one here felt like yesterday, like the end of a long season. But it hasn't been a long season, but you still reach that breaking point at a Browns season.
Well, it felt like the last game of the season. Unfortunately, it's not. We got at least we're done at Cleveland Browns Stadium, and I don't have to bundle up my butt and get down there and freeze for 4 hours to watch a miserable performance. So we can at least see those performances on the road and sitting in our family rooms watching our flat screens.
I'll read this while you're on with me, Dan. Kendall Lewis just responded here, through some of our social media here. He said, Mike Pettine does not want Johnny Manziel on this team. It's the brain trust that does, especially Jimmy Haslam. He thinks Manziel gives the team a PR bump. Ray Farmer is simply doing what he has to do to keep his job, and since he has to know that Manziel can't play and he didn't protect his team, I don't respect him as a general manager. See, the inside part of that, you guys know Kendall can go, far with his opinion. I love it. But what he said in the inside of that is going back to what you and I said at the beginning of this conversation is there was a difference between what we didn't know, what the fans, what the media, whatever didn't know, and what they did and do know behind the scenes. And I think yesterday showed a lot. I mean, a lot of people had to go, wow, forget what you think about Brian Hoyer. I mean, he is not even a part of this conversation at all. But that is a point to deliver again. And I think it'll be interesting when those after season